Alright, so as you saw in the last episode, we got the GSX running, so now it's time to pull the actual engine, get the transmission and everything out cleanly in one piece, so we can put it in the Mini and start doing mock-up for our engine mounts, transmission mounts, and routing for everything else. So, let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing is going to be disconnecting a lot of the miscellaneous wiring. The benefit for us here is that we didn't have to worry about much of tracking because we're cutting off all the wiring and we're using those pigtails to do our wiring later on for our ECU. So we got to get some of this intercooler piping out of the way. We're not using the intercooler. We're going to go with a water setup. We have to, of course, drain the radiator, get all that nasty coolant out of there. Goo! That water slash oil slash rust just came out of the radiator, so we have to at least flush this thing with some really heavy duty cleaner, and worst case we have some sort of head gasket leak or something in the block going on. Alright, so I did start to try to take the intercooler off, but I'm not worrying about it. I'm probably just going to sell it. But now we have to deal with all this gross wiring. Most of it's covered in oil and tape residue. Getting the suspension off, of course disconnecting the steering rack arm. Disconnecting the strut tower. Now we don't need these strut towers, so I'm selling them, but we are taking the hub and the axle, of course, so we will modify our mini struts to accept the GSX hubs. Now the carrier bearing's already disconnected inside here. Only had one bolt in it when I bought the car. And of course we gotta take the other side out here. So that clip right there is what makes it hard to pop this thing out. What you do is you put a flathead right here, a decent sized flathead, and you hammer inward towards the axle. Sometimes it helps if you hammer in this way, and that wedge of the flathead is gonna pop this thing out and make it super easy to get out. Took like 30 seconds to do it that way instead of prying and pulling and all that other shit. So do it that way. Alright, so now we're pulling out the transfer case. Instead of disconnecting the drive shaft, we decided to drop the transfer case. It's a little bit easier considering I didn't have any more ramps or jack stands. We'll bolt it on later though once we pull the engine out in order to get it all fitted up. Hey wifey. Alright, so now we're just using our Harbor Freight hoist here to pull out the engine. Once we got the engine supported, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the engine mounts and the transmission mounts. There's 4 of them, 3 on the engine, 1 on the transmission, and it comes out. Now the hood rod, I didn't have anyone to help me remove the hood, but instead I just kind of bent the rod out of the way as I lifted up, which worked fine. Alright, this engine is filthy, so we're taking off the downpipe to let it sit flat and using a 2x4 to keep it level. Loosening up the belts a bit to get the timing cover replaced. Didn't come with the timing cover on it, it was in the back and filthy as you can tell, so pressure washing it real quick made it look 100 times better. So there you can see the Mini in the background. We're getting this thing swapped in. If you have any questions, comments, please be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to get any updates for the next videos. Next time on Initial DIY Mods, we're going to have this thing inside the Mini Cooper. So here's just a small preview. And once again, please subscribe and happy modding.